But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
And Joe Rogan drops a truth bomb so brutal even Sonny Hostin's jaw hits the floor. And if that weren't enough, Charlie Kirk just went full courtroom drama mode, suing The View for a cool $100 million. What wild chaos just erupted on live TV? Stick around to witness the epic clash that's got everyone talking, laughing, and maybe reconsidering their life choices all at once. You definitely don't want to miss this.
The reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement?
You know, just when you think daytime TV has reached peak drama with celebrity feuds and awkward political hot takes, suddenly someone sues The View for $100 million. Yeah, that's exactly what just went down. Charlie Kirk, that political firestarter who's been on everyone's radar for a while, just threw down the biggest legal gauntlet in morning talk show history. Spoiler, things got messier than a tense Thanksgiving dinner.
Culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RFK, they'll see Elon.
Let's just appreciate the scale. 100 million, that's not I lost a few Twitter followers kind of pain. That's start franchising popcorn stands level. For context, $100 million could buy a small country or launch an indie Mars mission. But Charlie Kirk decided that's just the right number to hit The View, the daytime panel show known for its chaotic blend of gossip, opinions, and politics that sometimes crash like a lead balloon.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis.
So what exactly triggered this lawsuit? We're not talking about some silly Twitter squabble or meme gone wrong. Nope. This was allegedly set off by reckless commentary on The View. Words that blurred the line between hot take and legal disaster. You know how daytime TV sometimes feels like a high school cafeteria where shouting trumps reason? Well, this time, all that yelling allegedly turned into a lawsuit-level problem.
Disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sonny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever.
Among the hosts, Sunny Hostin stands front and center, or should we say under the legal microscope. She's no stranger to controversy. With a background rooted in law, she's usually the panel's voice of authority, but this time, her legal savvy didn't save her from being labeled the face of reckless commentary. If anyone was expected to bring careful analysis, it was Sunny, yet she's now in the crosshairs. Enter Joe Rogan, the podcast titan who thrives on controversy. Rogan didn't tiptoe in. He charged headfirst into this legal mess, bringing his signature sarcasm and critique. He didn't just break down the lawsuit, he detonated it, turning what could have been a dry legal spat into a public demolition of The View's recklessness.
I have no hate for Joy Behar. If I saw her, I'd give her a hug. I'd probably say the same thing about me if I was her. You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons!
Joe Rogan, ever the contrarian, sided squarely with Charlie Kirk. This wasn't a casual nod. It was a full endorsement of the suit's premise. He framed it as a wake-up call for a media platform that treats serious claims like a volume contest. If anyone needed a reality check, it was The View, and Sunny Hostin became the face of that carelessness. So how did Rogan pull off this public takedown with no confrontation or live debate? Simple. He used podcast clout, internet reach, and biting humor. He exaggerated the absurd, mocked the reckless, and painted The View as a lawsuit in progress. Explosive claims thrown like confetti became the metaphor. First, Rogan emphasized the size, $100 million. That's not a casual insult, it's a warning shot. And The View's nonchalant response, like they were used to wild claims flying around unchecked. Then came the irony, a show that prides itself on serious discourse, allegedly tossing accusations, without evidence, like a doctor diagnosing based on a horoscope.
Show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show. I think the way before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant, and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race. The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous, but treat everybody. They're just human beings.
Yeah.
That's not exactly reassuring. Sunny Hostin, with her legal background, should have been the voice of reason, but the lawsuit implies even her remarks veered into dangerous territory. Joe Rogan didn't shy from the irony, the law expert now. Entangled in a legal storm, the kind of irony writers crave, now center stage. His sarcasm was razor sharp, mocking The View's bravado and highlighting their lack of evidence. He cast the show as a minefield, every word a potential lawsuit trigger. Their fearlessness started to look more like reckless abandon. The lawsuit threatens to shake up daytime TV. Suddenly, The View's freestyle opinions face scrutiny. Imagine a world where every take gets triple-checked, not by producers, but by lawyers. Rogan's commentary also touches a broader media trend. Independent. Voices are becoming the new fact-checkers.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting, because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
When a figure like Rogan supports a lawsuit and dismantles a major show's credibility, it shows how power is shifting. Old media might be losing control, or at least facing serious headwinds. Rogan's humiliation of Sunny Hostin is a masterclass in turning a legal scandal into a punchline while exposing The View's weaknesses like a wrecking ball through drywall. Rogan didn't sneak in gently. He charged like a T-Rex, wielding humor and logic like dual wrecking balls. His focus was sharp. He nailed how The View, supposedly serious, turned into a chaotic rumor mill. They tossed out claims about Kirk with no proof. It was like watching someone juggle flaming swords blindfolded. It looks daring, but disaster looms. Rogan zeroed in on the contradiction. Sonny Hostin, a lawyer, making accusations on air without evidence. Once the cameras rolled, logic apparently took a break. He spotlighted this absurdity like a comedian skewering a lying politician. Funny, yes, but also legally dangerous.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's
That's
The
the
View?
only reason why I read
Dragon.
that about me.
Dragon
View?
lover.
All right, tell me
Joy
what this is.
Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
She
heard
said,
about
I
it.
checked it. I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think they lived
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people.
Wait,
It was from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast. It was from Forrest Gallant. Gallant? How do I say his last name? Great guy. I love him.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But
Rocky
he was
and Jamie.
saying,
Then came the golden sarcasm. Rogan cast The View as a chaotic panel tossing accusations like confetti at New Year's. Fun at first, until it chokes everyone. Someone's got to clean up. This wasn't just for laughs. Rogan's angle had strategy. By mocking the absurdity, he flipped the narrative. Suddenly, people saw Charlie Kirk as the victim of a reckless media circus, not the villain. If The View aimed to be champions of truth, Rogan's roast made them look like a ticking legal bomb. The public sentiment shifted. Rogan moved the spotlight from the lawsuit's giant price tag to a deeper issue. How accountable should TV hosts be when making serious claims? The irony, Rogan, often seen as media's Wild West, calling out recklessness on mainstream TV, wasn't lost on anyone.
most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she
What?
by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the
believe
other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
wait.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And
I
then
don't
there's
know.
also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me
There-
that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and
Yeah.
you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news.
Joe Rogan's ruthless takedown wasn't just entertainment, it was a serious warning shot. And now the wider ramifications loom large for TV and public commentary. If this lawsuit sends a message, it's this. Reckless commentary isn't a slap on the wrist issue anymore. The stakes are high and legal accountability is on the table. Hosts tossing out loaded claims like game show buzzwords may soon find themselves writing million-dollar checks instead of posting viral clips. This could force daytime talk shows to change course. Hot takes might get fact-checked, not out of editorial policy, but lawyerly fear. The lawsuit could act as a regulatory wrecking ball, changing how media handles sensitive topics, especially where politics meets pop culture. But zoom out, and there's an even bigger shift. Rogan's role signals a new media balance. Independent. Voices with massive reach are now setting the tone. When Rogan sides with someone, shreds a major show, and targets a prominent host, it's a game changer, showing that traditional media's grip is slipping and outside commentators can shift. National opinion.
Really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base. And
Right.
those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably
Right.
immobile.
Right.
Now here's the kicker. Will this lawsuit blow up in their faces? Lawsuits this big are like poker at the highest stakes. Sometimes you bluff, sometimes you go all in, and sometimes you walk away broke. If The View miscalculated, others may. Follow Kirk's lead, launching a wave of lawsuits that muzzle reckless talk. But if Kirk loses, it might scare off challengers and embolden big media. Either way, the fight between speech and accountability is about to intensify. What's next? Experts predict countersuits, new filings, surprise witnesses, maybe even bombshell documents that explode the case wide open. Social media will light up, independent voices will weigh in, and this case could reshape how we watch and trust daytime TV. One thing's clear. This won't be settled quietly behind closed doors. It's a twisting, juicy drama with enough turns to keep everyone hooked. Will The View learn the hard way about media responsibility? Will Rogan keep flexing his influence and setting new standards? Or will this unravel into a saga that reshapes daytime talk forever? This legal battle is just getting started, and it may change how we view the shows we love to mock. The View and Sunny Hostin have offered no official response. That silence says a lot. Meanwhile, Kirk's lawsuit gains traction. It's about more than money. It's about setting a precedent. When public figures learn that careless words can cost millions, maybe they'll think twice. Or maybe things will only get louder and wilder, with every lawsuit becoming the next must-watch drama. What happens next? Will this case force talk? Shows to pivot? Will Rogan inspire more commentary revolts? Whatever the outcome, one thing's certain. Daytime TV just got a whole lot spicier. If Joe Rogan can humiliate a legal veteran like Sunny Hostin while backing a huge lawsuit, the game has changed, and it's just begun. If you thought daytime talk was all chit-chat and fluff, think again. The stakes are sky high, the blows are real, and the courtroom is the stage. No face-offs needed. Stay tuned, this is only getting better.